So one of the things that a lot of people are going to be asking me is what vehicles do I want to see in Enlisted in 2025? And there are a lot of them, but before we start, I have to tell you guys that there are a lot of things that are confirmed in the files in the game. They even have full models of these, and it is currently sitting in Enlisted in the dev server right now, and these are very interesting stuff. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what has officially been confirmed in Enlisted and what is in the dev files, and what files we have for some of the new vehicles, and of course, we have what I personally would like to see in Enlisted. Of course, when I make my own list, I'm trying to be the most balanced and not give one faction that is something insane, such as I'm not going to give the Germans the mouse, which is come as a no surprise, so that's that. Of course, without further ado, let's get started with what we have in the list that is confirmed. And this video has been made possible for our friends at Discord. If you haven't liked, subscribe, or join the Discord, because this is how they get us the list, and this is how we get a list such as this. And I highly suggest that you join, because you can get the first announcements. So without further ado, let's get started. Going back, we have the 15cm SIG 33B. This is the German 15cm open-top assault gun. It's pretty good, and it's essentially going to be something that I see at tier 1 or B or 1 or 2. For the Soviets, we have the ZIS-30. This is essentially a Soviet tractor with anti-tank gun. And in terms of bigger stuff, we have the Jagdtiger, the ISU-152. I think these are going to be coming to us via an update, and that is probably either a premium squad or a squad that is going to be at the end of the line, or one of those stuff that will be given to us as heavy hitters, because these are very heavy equipment. And of course, we have the IS-3 in the files, meaning that we only have the smoke grenade launcher for the IS-3, and we do have a mouse sound, but at the same time, I would also have to say that the mouse and the IS-3 are highly not likely, because why would you put an IS-3 in a mouse? It just doesn't make sense. And this is the part in which I talked about what I want to see. Starting for the Soviets, I think the T-44 is a good addition. The Centurion is a good addition for the British. The P-40 for the Italians should be in the German tech tree. We do need more Italian weapons and tanks. And of course, we have the Type 1 Hoki. This is a Japanese APC that we can essentially have in-game as an event squad. Without further ado, in terms of planes, we can potentially have the Typhoon. That is one of the things I think Enlisted should have, because the Typhoon is one of those things in which you can get to the British. For the Americans, you can get the full load Corsair. If Enlisted is going to Cold War, which I'm hoping it does, the full load Corsair with H4s, bombs, and whatnot, and drop tanks, why not, is going to be a must for Enlisted going to the Cold War. This is the thing that was pretty much used during the Korean War and even in World War II, which is where it was developed. For the Japanese, I suggest the P1Y1. This is essentially a Japanese heavy fighter slash light bomber, and it's pretty good at its job. For the Soviets, I suggest the I-16. This is a Soviet fighter that is essentially the early version of the Yak, and this was made in the interwar years, meaning that this is actually pretty good for tier 1. And for the Germans, potentially we can have the Me-262. I'm not pretty sure about that. If Enlisted does give us an Me-262, I'm also going to be requesting a P-51 Mustang that can actually shoot down the Me-262. Granted, it's not going to be as fast as the Me-262, but we're digressing here. The issue with my entire list is the fact that if Enlisted decides to add any of these vehicles, they have to worry about one big thing, and that is balancing. You see, the reason why I put the Centurion and not some other broken British tank is because the fact that the Centurion has easily penetrated armor, but the Centurion also has a stabilizer. So essentially, tank users have to be very careful when using the thing. The same can be said for the T-44, not the best armor, but enough armor and a pretty good gun. The P-40, once again, Italian tank, just something special, and of course the list goes on. What Enlisted needs to do if they're going to add new vehicles is not going to make the current vehicles underpowered, and certainly not going to make these vehicles underpowered either, because what's going to happen is that if you make these vehicles underpowered, no one's going to play them, and if you make these vehicles overpowered, is that everyone's going to use them, and everything is just going to turn out to be worse for the player base, because they're just going to have another tank that they're impossible to deal with. And of course, I also have to add the fact that Enlisted, this is not a tank game and or a playing game, but an infantry game, and I think Enlisted should try to focus on trying to make the game a lot more safer for infantry players. Although that is just my personal opinion. Without further ado, guys, this is all for the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and comment in the comment section what do you want to see for the next update.